For reasons that utterly escape everyone involved, you're listening to a bipolar, a schizophrenic, and a podcast. Here are your hosts, Gabe Howard and Michelle Hammer.
Welcome to a bipolar, a schizophrenic, and a podcast. I'm Michelle. I'm schizophrenic.
I'm Gabe, and I'm bipolar.
Okay, that's nice, Gabe. What are we talking about today, Gabe?
So, did you read a couple of weeks ago in the news, Kanye West was diagnosed with bipolar, and I know we've already discussed the celebrity thing, so put that out of your mind, everybody.
Poor Yeezy's got bipolar.
Yeah, but one thing that he said that, especially because I live with bipolar, is he said that bipolar was his superpower.
Now, that's a red flag if I ever heard one.
In some ways, it's a sign of mental illness, but it's... Again, let's move that aside for a moment. We read a lot online and we watch a lot of videos, and there's a lot of people that feel that mental illness is a superpower or a plus, a positive. They don't see it as an illness, a disease, a negative. We get emails to this effect that we're by saying that schizophrenia is bad, we're insulting people with schizophrenia. But what I want to focus on very narrowly, as best we can,
is what?
Is mental illness a good thing? Yes or no?
It's a good question. Recently at a pop-up shop I had, a girl approached my pop-up shop. You know, I have a big sign, schizophrenic NYC, whatever. I told her I had schizophrenia, and she said, well, what do you think about, the positive signs of schizophrenia? Because, haven't you heard about the people that say that God is actually talking to them and leading them, and they're actually higher being and people, and then it's all really good because God is speaking with them. And I said to her, well, I know I had that story that I told about God at the Western Wall, but I said, well, really most of my delusions and stuff are really horrible, and they can be really bad, and I never felt like God was telling me to do, those bad things. And when I hear positive things, it's not God either, and it's definitely not God talking to me during the day.
You reminded me of, I don't remember what daytime show it was, but it says that if you talk to God, that's religion. If God talks to you, that's mental illness. And of course, there was a lot of controversy surrounding that. But listen, I agree with that statement. Voices in your head, just because you've gotten used to them, and listen, individual people can make up their individual mind, but I have to be very firm that I believe that mental illness is a bad thing. It is a bad thing. Like, in my mind, that is a complete statement.
I would say it's negative as well. I mean, I've turned, lemons into lemonade, but I'd rather not have had the lemons in the first place.
See, that is where I come in. I really dislike having a disorder because I get the same shit as you. Well, but Gabe, it's made you so creative. But yeah. Gabe, you're so funny. Or my personal favorite, but mania is pretty awesome, right? Let me tell you a story about mania. The first thing is yeah.
Is it about hookers?
Usually my manic stories are about hookers, but this one is not.
Oh, I don't even want to hear it then.
I want to be fair and say that mania does feel fantastic. But it's just because something feels good doesn't mean that it is good. There's lots of things that feel good. It feels good to eat like a bucket of ice cream. But there's consequences to that, eating a bucket of ice cream.
There's people that say it feels good to inject heroin into their body.
Listen,
definitely not a good idea.
As somebody who has injected heroin into their body,
you have?
I have. I've done pretty much every drug imaginable.
Yeah, I had no idea. Gabe, you've been keeping secrets, Gabe.
You never asked.
I guess not.
And it is true. When I was on heroin, I was scared at first. It hurt, and I'm deathly afraid of needles. And then I was high. And while I was high, I felt really, really good. Especially as an untreated bipolar, and I was really depressed when I did it, it felt way better than the suicidal depression. So I guess I should tell people that being high is good. I mean, after all, being high feels good. This is nonsense. There are
Yeah.
Being manic may feel good, but there's a consequence to it.
I mean, yeah, you might think you're invincible. Let me go run across the highway. You get hit by a car. I mean, like, dude, there's so many things you could do in your manic that could get you in so much trouble with the cops and everything.
And this happens. And that's what you kind of hit the nail on the head there. When you're manic and you feel invincible, you do run across highways or jump off tall buildings or drive really, really fast. I am positive that the only reason that I did not die in a car crash when I was manic is because my parents gave me a shitty car. It was like a 1985 Ford Escort. It was like a 4-speed. Its max speed was like 40.
40. Max speed was 40.
Like 40 miles an hour. When my dad gave it to me, it was like 12 years old and it had an AM radio in it.
That's sweet.
From my perspective, mania is not good because while it felt good at the time, it also cost me friendships, relationships, money, stability, jobs. That there's no way to say, oh, mania is great because I felt good. Oh, by the way, I can't hold down a job and I'm getting evicted. I have to call my mom and borrow money.
What people don't understand is that when you have a mental illness, keeping a job is so difficult. So, like, I mean, I know I have the job that I have now of running my own business, but I mean, I have been fired from like 8 jobs. Do you know how hurtful it was every single time to get fired over and over and over again, feeling like I couldn't succeed at life? Like,
Michelle,
it's devastating.
Let's explore this for a minute, Ms.
Let's
Hammer.
explore it. Let's explore
this together. So
yes.
Some people say that those of us with serious mental illness, and I think bipolar and schizophrenia, I think they count as serious mental illness, fad diagnoses aside, you are an exceptionally creative individual. That's not just me like blowing smoke. That's we've seen your art, we've seen your clothing line, we've seen all of the things that you are an accomplished graphic artist. Correct?
Yes.
So some people, rather than calling them idiots, we'll just call them uninformed. They believe that all of your artistic ability and all of your creativity comes from your schizophrenia. See, because we all know that all artists are tortured and brutalized, and that's what makes their art so beautiful. So let's say that we believe that now. We now believe that you're a great artist because of your schizophrenia. Yay, Michelle! Don't you feel good?
Sure.
Yeah, God closed a door and he opened a schizophrenic artistic window for you. I know it's starting to sound like bullshit, but
it sounds like nonsense to me.
It does, but let's say that it's true because people believe this.
Oh, that their mental illness made them creative?
Right, it makes them super creative. Now, you were able to get, in New York City no less, 8 high-end graphic jobs.
Yes, more than that, because I did do freelance jobs that just had contracts as well. So, I mean...
But you got fired from 8 graphic design jobs.
Keep repeating it, Gabe.
In New York City.
Just keep stabbing me in the gut. Just keep stabbing me in the gut. And some places, I will say, were very, very established, very high places, very, very, like I'm not going to say the names, but like you'd be like, oh, you work there? Oh, you work there? Oh, you work there? Like, you don't even know.
But I don't understand. I'm having trouble understanding. See, schizophrenia gave you this incredible skill. So doesn't that mean that every graphic artist that worked there was also severely mentally ill? Why couldn't they work around this? I mean, we all know that great art comes from severe mental illness.
Shut up.
See how stupid this sounds?
So stupid.
But people believe it.
No, but honestly, what messed me up a lot in these jobs was cognitive skills. I'd be told something and I'd just be like, what? Like, what? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, send me an email so I could read the email 5 times and then I'll understand what's going on. Or I'd be on my headphones would be on, I'd be talking, whatever, talking to myself. And be like, are you on the phone right now? And then I didn't know what to say. So I'd be like, yeah, I'm on the phone. Wait, why are you on the phone while you're at work? Oh, and I'm just screwed.
Wait a minute. Were you paranoid at work?
I wasn't paranoid at work.
Why? You're paranoid everywhere else. You're paranoid right now.
Well, I mean, after getting, fired 1, 2, 3, 4, I was always like, when am I going to get fired from this job? When am I going to get fired from this job? It just, every time I entered a new job, I said, how many months do I have here?
How many months do you think you'll last on the podcast before Psych Central fires you?
I don't know. I'll say that the longest I've ever had a job was 1 year.
Whoa. When the podcast hits 1 year, I mean, if you make it, we're going to have a party.
An ice cream cake? Can we go to Vignero's in Little Italy? We want an ice cream cake. We're getting the red velvet cake from Vignero's in Little Italy.
I only like Dairy Queen ice cream cake.
Oh, there's no Dairy Queen here.
What?
It's not ice cream cake. It's not ice cream cake. We're getting the red velvet cake at Vignero's.
Want to learn more about mental health, mental illness, and psychology, but not be bored? The Psych Central Show is an award-winning podcast that speaks candidly with experts in these fields to break down complex topics into easily understood nuggets of useful information. Hosted by our very own Gabe Howard along with Vincent M. Wales. Available on your favorite podcast player or at psychcentral.com/show.
So the story is, I was once called into HR because I looked like I was talking to somebody, but I was not talking to anybody, but it looked like I was on the phone, but I was not on the phone. But HR had received a letter from my doctor because I needed to be on health insurance. And I said, doctor, just fill it out like I'm nuts because I need the health insurance. So I'm in HR and my boss says the thing to me. And I was like, well, I said to the HR lady, I think that letter I gave you actually explains the whole thing. And she said to my boss, you're going to have to excuse her for that.
Excuse her for what?
For that actions that I was doing.
What actions were you doing?
What I just explained, that I looked like I was talking to somebody on the phone or talking to someone, but I wasn't on my phone and there was nobody around.
I'm still just having trouble. And I need you to explain this to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Okay.
If all great artists are mentally ill, why did you stand out so much among all of those great artists? You had to be, you were brand new. You were young, just graduated. You must have been the shittiest of all the great artists. So how did all of the other great artists pave the way for all of the mentally ill people?
Not all great artists are mentally ill. Why do you keep saying that? Oh, you're just
joking. You're lying.
Da Vinci was. No, Dolly.
Yeah, you don't even know.
Dolly, Da Vinci, chopped off his ear. I took art history. Okay, so let me just make it clear. Schizophrenia did not make me a good artist. It actually hindered me in a way. And if I didn't have schizophrenia, I would have been able to actually keep a job without it getting in the way. And at this point in my life, I expected to be a creative director, an art director. I would have maybe had a job where I could have leveled up in the ranks. I mean, I always had to start over at a lower position, and they're not going to put you at a higher position when you just start at different places. So, I mean, schizophrenia doesn't make you an amazing artist. It doesn't do anything like that. It just hinders you. I went to college for graphic and web design, yet I could not keep a job in the field. I wanted to be a really established person at a really amazing place. And at one point in my life, I realized I can't do it. I can't work in the corporate field. Those dreams I had for myself will never happen. I had to accept I can't do it. I cannot have a corporate job. I can't work with another boss that's going to just pick me apart when they see me acting differently. I can't work in an office environment like that. And it's just really unfortunate. So when people say that schizophrenia makes you a great artist, that's not true at all. And all it did was ruin the dreams that I had for myself.
At the top of the show, you said that you made lemonade out of lemons.
Yes.
And we've used that before, whether correctly or incorrectly, depending on whether or not you're a longtime listener.
People like to say that to me all the time. People like to say, oh, you made lemonade out of lemons. And I just go, oh, yeah. It's something that gets said to me constantly.
Yeah, it's like a throwaway statement. But what about all of the people that didn't get podcasts? I mean, there's as much as we suffer from our mental illness and suffer we do, we are lucky. And I know that's a recurring theme, but when people say things to me like, oh, you must be like, you're so cool because you have bipolar. The way that your mind works is so incredibly fascinating. And that's just awesome. I wish I could be different. Or when I see people like on the internet pretending to be bipolar or depressed, or like claiming parts of mental illness as though it's some like tragic backstory that their life can have. I just think, what about all the people who died?
I know the people that go on Facebook diagnosing themselves once a week with a new illness.
Oh, those people crush my heart. But there's a really popular, as you know, Michelle, I have the Mad Hatter tattooed on me.
Yes.
And I love the Mad Hatter. I was the Mad Hatter in a play when I was young. I get diagnosed with a mental illness, and here's the Mad Hatter. And at some point I realized that the Mad Hatter wasn't awesome. The Mad Hatter was sick.
Mm-hmm.
We saw him, at the Tea Party and just, saying all of these things, and we all wanted to follow him like he was awesome. And there's this famous quote in Alice in Wonderland. The quote goes like this. It says, "Have I gone mad? I'm afraid so, but let me tell you something. The best people usually are." On one hand, this is inspirational because, mad, of course, means crazy. Crazy, of course, means mentally ill. I am mentally ill. So therefore, all of the best people usually are mentally ill. But no, it's not cool to be mentally ill. It's just sick. The best people aren't mentally ill. The best people are the people who do the best things, who are kind and caring and help people. You and I aren't the best people, I'm making air quotes, folks, because we have bipolar and schizophrenia. If we're the best people, it's because of our advocacy work. It's because of our helping others. It's because of our traveling around for free to make the world better for people with mental illness. It's not because of a disease.
We're just the voice of, two regular people with mental illnesses, just like talking about it. And I get messages all the time, like, thank you for doing what you're doing. You're really putting a voice to everything, and I'm really grateful when I get those messages, because I like that I'm putting a voice to schizophrenia and helping out with other people. And I'm definitely not saying that it's like the best thing ever to have schizophrenia, but I'm giving people like just a view into what it's like to be schizophrenic, I think, There's
a million quotes like this. Robin Williams, it's often attributed to him. I'm not sure if it started with him, but it says that everybody gets one spark of madness. You mustn't waste it. Why have we decided that any thinking that is different is madness, is crazy, is mental illness? Having a unique thought does not make you mentally ill. We need to redefine these terms. And as you know, I don't like to mess with people's language, and we've all heard the first person debate on this show. But really, a spark of madness? What is a spark of madness? Do you think that there's like a spark of madness that exists in people, like where everybody gets schizophrenia for a minute?
Did he mean it like a spark of genius?
Maybe, but genius is just high intelligence. Madness is adverse thinking.
That Dr. Seuss quote, that Dr. Seuss quote?
What's the Dr. Seuss quote?
Be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind.
I love that quote, and it has nothing to do with being mentally ill. It has to do with being different, and it doesn't say that difference is mental illness. And That's the problem that I have. I think that so many people don't understand the horrors of mental illness. And anybody out there that think that it's cool to be mentally ill, or that it's fun, or that it makes you original, or that it makes you awesome to have a serious and debilitating illness that kills people, doesn't understand mental illness.
Preach, Gabe. Gabe's getting serious right now. It's true, though. It's not cool to have a mental illness. It really isn't cool to have a mental illness. I mean, I took my mental illness, I tried to turn it into a brand and make it something that works, but still, I'd rather not have schizophrenia. I'd rather not have had to do that. I would have rather have been an established graphic web designer at this point. But, I turned my life into something else to work with what I can do now.
We have played the hands that we are dealt because we have to,
Yes.
just like everybody has to.
Precisely.
But make no mistake, I think that I would have been preferred to have been dealt a different hand.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Gates' hand's pretty good.
He didn't even finish college. He's great.
That's true. I mean, he's basically a dropout loser.
Who makes a lot of money.
So be honest, like your parents really wanted you to graduate college.
Yes.
But if you would have been Bill Gates and be a billionaire, would they be all disappointed in you right now? Like, she didn't even go to college.
No, they would have been fine with that.
They'd have been fine with you being the second richest person in America?
Yeah.
You know, he used to be the first richest person in America, and then somebody beat him. Do you think that, like, Bill Gates' parents were like, you know, you'd be number Jeff Bezos from Amazon?
Oh.
But do you think his parents are like, you know, you'd still be number one if you would have completed your degree?
No, definitely not. His parents aren't Jewish.
That is terrible. I always feel like holding up a sign to remind people that you are Jewish right now so that we don't get like angry letters. What I really want people to understand is that what I'm doing now, while I'm immensely proud of it, it's not my dream. This was never my dream. I didn't set out to be a mental health advocate. I'm glad that I was strong, and I'm glad that I have good support, and I'm glad that I'm one of the lucky ones. But listen, I wanted to be Bill Gates. You know, that's why I brought him up. I wanted to be an IT guy. I started a computer business that I lost because of mania and because of depression and because of grandiosity. And like you talked about, you've lost a lot.
Yeah. I wanted to, you know, graphic, web designer, interactive designer. I wanted to be all of that. That's what I went to school for. My 6th grade career test came out graphic designer. I've never wanted to be anything else. And at age 27, I realized that I couldn't do it.
And you fell so low that you had to come work with a dude with bipolar on a podcast.
Eventually, that's ended up what happened.
I mean,
ended up meeting Gabe Howard through that.
Your mother is Jewish, so she must be incredibly disappointed.
Oh no, I get the happy birthday. I'm proud of you. We're proud of you. We're proud of you. Everybody gets I get the we're proud of you. Other people just get happy birthday. I get happy birthday. We're proud of you because I need to apparently hear it.
But you're right. This is an example of the little things that we pick up on, the happy birthday, I'm proud of you, because we can't just be treated like everybody else.
Yeah.
Why can't we just be okay?
Why can't it just be happy birthday? Why do I need to get an affirmation of we're proud of you?
Well, because mental illness has made you stronger and better, and everybody wants to be you. Michelle, let me ask you this. Final question. I promise we'll end the show on this.
Okay.
If you could give schizophrenia to somebody, like it was magical and you could give it to somebody, would you give it to your best friend or your enemy?
I understand what you're going for, Gabe, but I would not give schizophrenia to my worst enemy.
The thing that I want to put out to everybody listening that thinks that mental illness is a gift and that it makes you amazing and that it's awesome, think about how you would answer that question. If somebody actually offered you severe and persistent mental illness like Michelle and I deal with every day, would you honestly take it, and would you want somebody to have it? Think about that long and hard before you decide that being mentally ill is cool. Because I'm telling you, people die, and those people aren't around to defend themselves. And it's just really not cool. And when I hear people like Kanye West tell people that it's a superpower, it scares me, because I'm afraid, sincerely, that people with the diagnosis will stop taking their medications, stop going to therapy, stop seeing doctors, because they want to be a musical talent as well.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
It's terrifying. Actually, it's terrifying.
It's more terrifying than Michelle on the streets of New York City all by herself.
I'm a safe lady, Gabe. I'm a safe lady. I took karate. Don't mess with me.
Got anything else?
No, not really.
You're not a fan of Kanye West?
I do like Yeezy. I kind of like Yeezy, but like he's going to say some stupid shit like that. Putting it into his raps and stuff, bipolar is a superpower. What are you talking about? And who would have thunk it? He goes manic. Never would have thunk it.
Everybody, thanks for tuning into A Bipolar, a Schizophrenic, and a Podcast. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. We are out.
Gold digger!
You've been listening to A Bipolar, a Schizophrenic, and a Podcast. If you love this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Head over to iTunes or your preferred podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. To work with Gabe, go to GabeHoward.com. To work with Michelle, go to schizophrenic.nyc. For free mental health resources and online support groups, head over to PsychCentral.com. The show's official website is PsychCentral.com/BSP. You can email us at show@PsychCentral.com. Thank you for listening, and share widely.